The news hit the automotive world with a familiar thud. Reports of factory slowdowns and potential shutdowns with Ford's name prominently mentioned sent ripples of concern across North America. The livelihoods of thousands of workers hang in the balance, and communities built around the hum of assembly lines now face an unsettling quiet. This isn't just about one company, it's about an entire ecosystem feeling the tremors of shifting trade policies. The fresh wave of U.S. automotive tariffs announced in April 2025 has cast a long shadow. For an industry already grappling with the transition towards electric vehicles, new trade barriers represent another significant hurdle. The imposition of these import duties is often framed as a measure to protect domestic jobs and industries. However, the immediate consequence can be increased costs, disrupted supply chains, and job insecurity. The automotive sector, with its deeply integrated North American supply chains, is particularly vulnerable. So what exactly are these tariffs causing such consternation? In simple terms, a tariff is a tax imposed by a government on goods imported from other countries. Think of it as an entry fee for foreign products. The primary purpose governments cite for imposing tariffs is often to protect their domestic industries from foreign competition. By making imported goods more expensive, tariffs can, in theory, make locally produced goods more attractive to consumers. Beyond protectionism, tariffs can also serve as a source of revenue for the government. Every time a taxed good crosses the border, the government collects money. Another reason for imposing tariffs can be political leverage. They can be used as a tool in trade negotiations, a way to pressure other countries to change their own trade policies. However, the effects of tariffs are rarely straightforward and often contentious. While they might offer a degree of protection to some domestic industries, they can also lead to higher prices for consumers. The early days of April 2025 brought a significant escalation in trade tensions with the implementation of new U.S. automotive tariffs. President Donald Trump announced a sweeping 25% tariff on all vehicles imported into the United States. This move marked a dramatic shift in automotive trade policy, sending immediate shockwaves through an industry heavily reliant on cross-border supply chains. The stated objective behind these hefty tariffs was to decrease automotive production in neighboring countries and boost car manufacturing within the United States. This policy aligns with President Trump's broader reciprocal tariff strategy. The administration hopes these measures will lead to a resurgence in American auto plants and job creation on U.S. soil. These new tariffs represent the materialization of earlier threats, moving from rhetoric to concrete economic policy. The implementation of these tariffs immediately changed the financial calculations for automakers producing vehicles in Canada and Mexico for the vast U.S. market. A 25% levy on each vehicle is a substantial cost to absorb or pass on. For an industry that operates on complex, just-in-time supply chains, such an abrupt increase in trade costs presents an enormous challenge. Ford's situation, particularly concerning its Oakville assembly plant in Ontario, Canada, adds another layer to this complex tariff narrative. The Oakville plant has been closed since 2024 for a significant and costly transformation, preparing it for the production of next-generation electric vehicles, with a planned reopening in 2026. This strategic shift reflects Ford's broader commitment to an electric future. The retooling process has led to considerable layoffs, with approximately 3,200 workers at the Oakville plant laid off. While these layoffs predate the April 2025 tariff announcement, they contribute to the general atmosphere of uncertainty within the Canadian auto sector. The broader context of tariffs cannot be entirely disconnected from the challenges Ford faces in this critical period of its evolution towards electric mobility. In response to the new U.S. automotive tariffs imposed in April 2025, Ford Motor Company chose a path different from immediate production halts. Instead of idling assembly lines, Ford announced an innovative employee discount program, extending it to all customers. This initiative, branded From America for America, was launched on April 3, 2025 and is slated to run through to June 2, 2025. This proactive measure appears designed to stimulate sales and maintain market momentum in the face of potential price increases caused by the new trade environment. The From America for America discount program, however, does come with certain exclusions. It notably does not apply to some of Ford's larger and often more profitable vehicles. This selective application suggests a strategic approach, possibly aimed at bolstering sales of models where inventory might be higher. This move by Ford demonstrates a commitment to its customer base and an attempt to mitigate the immediate impact of tariffs on vehicle affordability. Offering widespread discounts, even if temporary, can impact profitability. It's a clear signal that the company is actively seeking ways to navigate the challenges posed by these new trade barriers. The impact of the April 2025 U.S. automotive tariffs was felt swiftly by other major players in the North American auto industry, notably Stellantis and General Motors. Stellantis, the parent company of Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, and Ram, announced a pause in production at its Windsor assembly plant in Ontario, Canada, for 2 weeks starting in April 2025. Simultaneously, its Toluca assembly plant in Mexico faced a shutdown for the entire month of April. Stellantis explicitly cited the new 25% U.S. tariffs as the direct reason for these significant operational disruptions. These shutdowns at Stellantis facilities had an immediate human cost, leading to temporary layoffs for approximately 4,500 hourly workers in Canada. General Motors also found itself compelled to adjust its Canadian operations in response to the new tariffs. The company announced plans to eliminate one of its 3 shifts at the Oshawa, Ontario assembly plant by the autumn of 2025, affecting approximately 700 employees. GM indicated that the Oshawa plant would subsequently increase its focus on supplying the Canadian domestic market. Additionally, GM's Cami factory in Ingersoll, Ontario, which produces commercial electric vans, is scheduled for a temporary closure from May 2025, reopening in October 2025. This will result in the elimination of 500 out of 1,300 hourly jobs there. U.S. tariffs have hit Ontario's automotive heartland hard. 3 of 8 key plants face layoffs or shutdowns. A 4th plant has paused retooling, extending its closure. The automotive industry is crucial to Ontario's economy, employing 100,000 people. Major players like Ford, GM, and Stellantis have significant operations here. The health of these operations impacts countless suppliers and local communities. Much of Ontario's auto production is destined for the U.S. market. In 2024, Ontario's vehicle output reached 1.3 million units. The U.S.-Canadian automotive trade relationship is now strained by tariffs. The repercussions of these automotive tariffs extend far beyond the factory gates, sending tremors throughout the wider economies of both Canada and, potentially, the United States. The specter of a global trade war has become a significant concern, so much so that it was a major agenda item for the finance ministers of the Group of Seven, or G7, industrialized nations during their meeting in Banff. This highlights the international recognition of the risks posed by escalating protectionist measures, which can disrupt global supply chains, depress investment, and ultimately slow down economic growth worldwide. In Canada, there is a palpable sense of anxiety over U.S. tariffs and the general uncertainty now clouding cross-border trade. The Big Six Canadian banks are also bracing for potential fallout. Analysts anticipate that these financial institutions may need to increase their loan loss reserves and could face reduced borrowing demand if a sustained trade war begins to seriously stress the Canadian economy. This isn't the first time in recent years that tariffs have strained U.S.-Canada trade relations. Earlier in 2025, President Trump had threatened to more than double tariffs on Canadian steel and aluminum to a punitive 50%. The imposition of these new automotive tariffs throws both the U.S. and Canadian auto sectors into a period of profound uncertainty, forcing a re-evaluation of long-term strategies. For the Canadian auto industry, the immediate future looks challenging. It faces the prospect of reduced access to its largest export market, potentially leading to further production cuts, investment delays, and job losses if the tariffs remain in place for an extended period. For the United States, the intended outcome of the tariffs is a boost in domestic manufacturing and employment. However, the path to achieving this is complex. Disrupting established North American supply chains could lead to inefficiencies and higher costs for U.S. manufacturers as well. Consumers might face higher prices, potentially dampening demand. There's also the risk of retaliatory tariffs from Canada and other affected countries, which could harm U.S. exporters in other sectors. Automakers will need to weigh the costs of tariffs against the expense of relocating production or finding alternative suppliers. This strategic calculus will be crucial in shaping the automotive landscape of the coming decade.